Allison Verhalen here with AV Writing Services, and today I want to talk to you about keyword cannibalization. So what happens is if you have two different pieces of content that are targeting the same keyword, then those different pieces of content are actually going to fight to rank for that same keyword on Google, right? And Google is not really confused. Google is just going to look at that and be like, well, you know, if they're both fighting for the same keyword, then neither is super valuable. So we're just not going to rank either of these very highly. So that's why you need to look out for keyword cannibalization, because it's a lose-lose situation, right? You're fighting with yourself and you're the only one who ends up losing, right? You're hurting your own chances of showing up in those searches. So I have a confession to make, because I often talk about content as a way to, you know, put keyword throughout your different pieces of content as a way to rank for that particular keyword. And while that is absolutely true for writing long blog posts and using the same keyword throughout that long blog post, when it comes to different blog posts, maybe stick to just one target keyword, or not one, but you know, a handful of target keywords that you're really only using on that blog post and not on other blog posts. Because if you're spreading out your keywords throughout different blog posts, they're all going to suffer and none of them are going to rank very well. And that's a lot of why you have a blog post in the first place, right? Is to show up on Google. So absolutely keep track of that. So I'm going to go over a little bit about how it works. I just talked about Google deciding that neither piece of content is super valuable, so they're both going to suffer in the rankings. And the reason for that is Google and your readers want very high quality content. That's why the longer blog posts tend to do really well in the rankings. That's why they always show up on the first page of Google, is because Google wants the really in-depth content that is answering all of the questions related to that particular keyword. And again, that's what our readers want too, right? If they get to our blog and they have a specific question about a keyword, and maybe we have a short blog that just has a few bullet points but doesn't answer their specific question that they're really looking for, they're just going to click away and find what they need somewhere else. So that doesn't help you. It doesn't help the user. Google doesn't like that, because Google is trying to direct users to the content that they really want to see. So that's why the longer in-depth content is great. So if you're spreading out your keywords throughout different pieces of content, Google is going to assume that both of those pieces of content are thin. They're not really answering the questions. They're not going deep into the answering the questions that people are looking for when they're searching that particular keyword. So keep that in mind. So they're both going to suffer. And the same goes for your backlinks. If you have a bunch of backlinks leading back to one super valuable piece of content, then that's going to be awesome for your SEO. But again, if you're kind of spreading yourself thin and you've got backlinks leading back to different pieces of content, again, targeting that same keyword, it's going to be more scattered. It's not as focused, which leads me into my next point, which is your digital marketing funnel, right? And I've talked about this before in this video series and on my blog, is every piece of content that you create needs to have a goal. What do you want people to do when they're done reading that piece of content? Do you want them to buy from you? Do you want them to subscribe to your newsletter, follow you on social media, download a PDF or a checklist or your free ebook or your paid ebook? What is it that you want them to do? Don't let them read all that super valuable content and then just click away, because that's not content marketing, right? That's just putting up content for the heck of it. No one has time for that. So every piece of content, in addition to your keyword, and this should all be part of your process of creating content. You start with the keyword and the SEO, and it should end with where you want them to go after that. But again, have that end in mind when you're just starting out, so that you can lead them through that process throughout the entire piece of content. So if you have different goals for a piece of content, or if you have the same goal for different pieces of content, and you could just wrap it into one super valuable piece of content instead of having this scattered approach, you're going to be much more effective. So always keep that digital marketing funnel in mind and be really focused and really intentional about it. What do you want people to do? What are they likely to do? What are they willing to do after finishing each piece of content? I've talked about that a whole lot in other videos and blog posts, so I'm not going to go too deep into it here. You can explore this, like I said, my videos and my blog if you want answers to that question, or you can just reach out to me directly. Again, I'm at info@avwritingservices.com. So how can you avoid keyword cannibalization, right? That's what you're here for, I assume. So number one, long tail keywords. So for example, there are lots of keywords surrounding blogging and keywords and SEO and Google, and I do use all those keywords throughout my content, but there's always a target keyword for each particular piece of content, and it's never going to be 1 or 2 words. It's always going to be like 3 to 5 words long. Those are the long tail keywords. And again, I've talked about this before, long tail keywords are super valuable for showing up in online searches because they have a higher, they might have a little bit of a lower search volume, but they also have lower competition, so you have a better chance of showing up in those searches. They also tend to have a higher search intent. People who are using those long tail keywords are looking for something really specific, so they're more likely to convert into customers when they find what it is they're looking for. So if you know you've already written about something and you've targeted a particular keyword, maybe look at a longer version of that keyword when you're doing your keyword research. Most tools will give you related keywords down below all the stats they give you at the top. So look through some of those related keywords and see if there's a longer tail keyword in there that is still valuable, still has a fairly high search volume and low competition rate, but is a target keyword that you have not yet targeted on your blog. Next up is meta tags, right? So again, you've got the one focus keyword for each piece of content. You should have a bunch of keywords that you use throughout each piece of content. And again, each piece of content should be targeting a different set of keywords. But each piece of content is going to have one target keyword that you really want to rank for that piece of content. So that's going to be in your title, that's going to be in your subheadings, that's going to be in your alt tags for all of your images. All of those meta tags Google reads them first, to get an idea of what your content is all about and where it should rank your content, what search terms it should match up your content with. So if you're really focused on those meta tags and you've got just one keyword on all of those meta tags, that's what Google is going to look at first. So you can have other keywords scattered throughout your content, and Google is going to be like, okay, yeah, those keywords are there, but you're really trying, the most relevant keyword for this particular piece of content is this keyword right here. It's not associated with any other piece of content on your website, so that's what's going to help you rank. So absolutely keep that in mind. Next up, keep track of your keywords. Just keep a spreadsheet. I know for myself, I've only been writing this blog for like 1.5 years and doing these videos for, 2 years maybe. So even I get a little confused sometimes about like, did I cover that? Do I already have that on my blog? And I have to go back and look through my existing blog posts and see if I've already covered it. Now, that is super easy because my blog is on WordPress, so I can just go straight to my posts and look through all of the blog post titles that I have. It's right there. It's super easy. For my clients, if I don't have access to that, or if they don't have a site on WordPress and maybe it's a little harder to navigate, I keep a spreadsheet of all of their blog posts and all of the keywords associated with each blog post so that I know that I'm not accidentally cannibalizing those keywords and not covering, again, it's just not super valuable for your users, right? That's why Google doesn't want to rank your content if it's thin, because if you're repeating yourself on your website, people are going to look at it and go, should I read this blog post about it, or should I read this blog post about it? Should I read either of them? Is either of them valuable, or is this person just repeating themselves and they don't have anything new to say? And that's the kiss of death in content marketing, right? Or anywhere online, for people to think that you don't have anything new to say. So absolutely keep track of all of that. And that's it. Those are my tips on how to avoid keyword cannibalization. Again, if you want more information on this, you can look through my videos. You can go to my website, which is avwritingservices.com. And if you have any questions, you can reach out to me directly at info@avwritingservices.com. Thanks so much. Have a great week and happy blogging.